Hello and welcome back. Remember how I did a video not long ago about how I have too many guitars? I have 8. So I decided 3 of them I can sell and should go down the road. 2 I still have for sale. 1 I did already sell. But yesterday I took one out to sell and both the buyer and myself talked ourselves out of it. Under good terms, we weren't upset with each other. We just decided that maybe I should keep it. So I did. And while I was out, I went out and looking around here and there, and guess what? I bought myself a Yamaha. This is a 2014 FG720SL. So they're lower end, not the lowest. It's above the 700, but it's in beautiful condition. There's not a mark on it that I can see. And, well, it's a little dusty under the strings, so I'm going to have to do a cleanup on it, but I'm back up to 8. Now I'm going to have to... Yes, I know. Eventually. Either way, today we're going to restring it. It's got cables on it, not strings. Well, for me, they're heavy. Either way, it needs a restringing. It needs a good cleanup. It looks like it might do with some fret work along the ends. I'm not going to do that today. Today is just a clean up, restring, see where we're sitting. And so that's what we're going to do today. Off to the bench. So to start with, we're going to go over the specs of the guitar. As I say, it was manufactured November 3rd, 2014. It is a Yamaha FG720SL. So the S meaning solid top. It has a solid spruce top. The sides, back, and neck are what they call NATO wood. Now it's apparently from the Mora trees. It's kind of an Asian hardwood. Either way, that's what they're made out of. Rosewood for the fretboard and bridge. And that's pretty much it. You may know that I have a 1986 FG420L. Now that is very much similar composition, other than it has just the rosewood binding as opposed to this ivory binding. Now that's pretty much it that way. The neck width 1 11/16, and the scale is 25 9/16. So that's basically it. It is a red label, if you know what that means in Yamaha speak. Either way, so that's what we have. Now it's in pretty good shape. As I say, there was no markings on it that I could see anywhere. So whoever used it sparingly or carefully. It's got a very nice gloss body to it, but the neck seems to be more of a satin type finish on it. So that I like. I don't like the gloss necks on it. You know, once you start sweating at all, your hands can stick to it. Not good. Anyways, so as I say, this thing has some pretty big heavy cables on it. So we are going to remove that, take a good look inside, and basically clean it up, restring it. First of all, we are going to check the action at the 12th. In millimeters, a little over 2. 2. Everything seems to be about the 2 millimeter, maybe a 175 on the bottom. I'm okay with that. That's an acceptable area. I would like it probably a little bit lower, but once we take these strings off, the strings I'm putting on them are going to be much lighter. So if the strings are pulling up on the neck any to make it high, the lighter strings should bring it down a bit. In theory, that's not a for sure. But anyway, we go about it. There's not really much in the setup that we need to do, so we can just take the strings right off it. We don't have to worry about loosening them, tightening them, because I'm not going to touch the setup until afterwards anyways. So that's where we start. And let's get the strings off it. So I've taken all the strings off the top. And the pins were a little bit tight. And of course, my usual request of when you're taking the strings off your guitar, don't snip them along here and make more waste. Try and remove them completely all at once. Dispose of them in a proper manner. I don't know how old these strings are, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to replace them because they're too thick. I'll keep these around for a little bit in case I break one, and for cleanup I'm going to use a new, fresh, clean rag, white in this case, so that I can tell how much dirt comes off it. Spray my cleaner on there, not a paid promotion. So, gotta remember to open the windows whenever you're doing this. Now I noticed that the inlays, these three are fairly bright, but there's some up here that seem to be rather dim or dull or maybe coated, I don't know. But we're gonna spend a little time on them. Okay, so we go over the fretboard, and there's a little bit of dirt, not too bad, but I'm going to go over it again just to make sure. And the inlays didn't come up, so they're still rather dull. These ones, the double and the one up here, these three are all fairly bright. I don't know if maybe that's something that Yamaha did when they were making it or whatever, but it seems weird. Now there tends to be a little bit of tarnish on a couple of the frets. I wasn't planning on doing a tape off and polishing of the frets at this point. We'll probably do that when we address the ends of the frets, because I wouldn't mind taking a little bit off of those to smoothen them out, but I'm not getting into that today. Today is a cleanup, double check, see how the setup feels, that sort of thing. And with that, I think we will now take our pictures inside. Flashlight, camera, video, and action. Anybody aware what this says? Okay, so we've cleaned off the fretboard with the with the cleaner, and it doesn't even look like it needs oiling. So I think we will just clean up the rest of the guitar and see how it comes out. Let's use the clean side of the same cloth. So there is one little upgrade I am going to do this time. As I say, gotta polish the frets and do the edges, but I don't want to do that today. But the saddle is loose in its gap there, so I'm going to do a little upgrade on it, and that is not really an upgrade as much as a MacGyver, and that is to use the handyman secret other weapon, paper tape. So what I'm going to do is just cut down around the outside of this here, just enough so that the tape will wrap around up the side. That's way too much. And just enough so that there's just a little bit hanging over each side. Now I don't want enough of it to come up to show, but I do want enough of it to just wrap around the very bottom edge of the saddle. And that should hold the saddle steady. Now the pressure of the strings is going to hold it steady anyways, but it will also be sitting to one side or the other. This might hold it a little more solid. So voila. Now it won't fall out, but I can still get it out if I have to. There we are. Now I think we're ready for restringing. And what we are restringing with is not a paid promotion. Rotosound Jumbo King Phosphor Bronze acoustic guitar strings, 10, 14, 20, 28, 40, and 50 gauge. These are a British made string because, well, I'm looking for a new supplier of strings. And I've used these on my other acoustics, and I'm fairly happy with them, so let us do that. They come with the little gel pack, and they do come color coded, but only in 3 different colors: blue, white, and red, for the British flag, of course. And we start with the thick ones, which are, it will go blue, white, red, blue, white, red, blue being the thicker, so the 1st and 4th string. So it's rather obvious which one's the thicker of these two. Take the thinner of those two and put it aside. There's a little spool on the end of the string. You want that to roll this way down into the hole, not this way, this way. Groove on the pin points towards the string as well. Push down in so far, and then once you get so far, the string will stop moving, but the pin will keep moving. That's what you want. If that string pushes all the way down, what it is it's on the very bottom of that pin, and eventually it's going to come off the side and up about a 1/2 inch, which means that's going to throw everything up here out. You don't want that. Bend this over there, go up through the nut. You're wanting to go into the first spindle here, so you want to leave just a little bit more than this much string. So about 2.5, maybe 3 inches, and cut it there. Holding both sides so you do not lose the tail. Put it aside and keep it in a good spot for recycle. Get your winder. Oh, before we do this, let's just wind every one of these and see how they feel. They all tend to have about the same amount of tension on them, which is always a good thing. If you find one's too loose or too tight, right in the very end of the paddle is a Phillips screw. That is just a tensioner to keep this either loose or tight. All it does is just squeeze the little nylon gasket that's between the paddle and the machine head. It doesn't work, it doesn't lock up your tuning or anything, but it's just a tensioner. So now we push the wire through the spindle and we just leave it a little bit hanging over and crank it. And when you're winding it, you want to go over the tail the first time it comes around, and then roll down under the cranked part, under the tail, and into the headstock all the way down. But before we do that, there's another thing we forgot to do. And that is get out our 10mm deep socket and check all the nuts. See, that one was loose. That one was a little loose. Now, not much, but you want to make sure these are all snug. Don't way over tighten them. Just make sure they're snug. You want a deep socket because if you get a shallow socket, the spindle will push it off of. There's not enough room for the spindle to go up the center of the shallow socket. So you want a deep one. And then you can actually have more grip on the deep socket. So you can check them this way. And then if they're loose, get yourself the ratchet. I've made them snug. Good thing. Now that that's all done, now that I've got the curly Q in the end of this, I'm gonna have to try and restring it. Okay, making sure that the tail comes out just a little bit, and as I say, when winding, go over top of the tail the first time, and then go under the crinked area, the crinked end, under the tail, and roll down into the headstock from there. Me. Give me an M. Okay, so we have the first blue one on. Then we go to the next white. And they wrap them in doubles because there will be a skinny one and a thicker one and a skinnier one. Hold these away from you when you're unraveling them so you don't poke yourself in the eye. Again. So, blue, white, red. New pin, roller this way, groove to the string, push down so far and the string stops going down and the pin keeps going down. Up about 2.5, 3 inches beyond and cut. Pin, roller, groove, down, string stops, pin keeps going through here up 2 inches and cut. I'm not going to make you sit through the other ones. So now all the strings are back on. We're going to take the side of our winder and just make sure that all these pins are solidly sunk. Take our measuring tool, just run it across the top of the pegs, make sure none of them sticks like way over any of the other ones. That way you know that they're sunk. And then we will bring her up to tune. Woo! Woo! Don't sit on your dikes. Yes, that's what I said. So before we go to exact tune, we're just going to go to rough tune. Oh, what the hey. Let's tune it. Get that sound in your head? Reef. Making sure your pin doesn't move. Reef and it's going to take a while before this gets to the point where all the windings are compressed and the string is stretched. Then I'm going to turn that off and do it by ear. And what this does is just save the battery on your tuner, because all of these are going to go out a couple of times. We know that the bottom is in what most people call an E chord. I have it tuned down to D because I have 12 strings, and I have it tuned down because of that. And so all my guitars go to D, G, C, F, A, D, B, D, D, G, C, F, A, D. So then I can, as long as I get the first one in, because it's going to take a while for these ones to get in. was like almost a complete turn in that bottom one from where it was in tune, and then I stretched it. So if you do that a few times, you're going to have to, because that's just what's going to take to get this thing to up to tune and stay in tune. So now, well, let's try it again. So each time I'm doing this, it goes a little flat, meaning low. And there it went high. So now we're pretty much assured that that one's about as stretched as it's gonna get. And then to the G. And that's a little high, so we bend it. That's a little low. Bend it. And it stays. If it stays after a couple of times of bending it, then you're good. Go on to the next one, C. Loosen it more. Make sure we go down flat and then roll up. You always want to get into tune from coming up from the bottom. Don't come down from the top. And so you should end up with and there we have it. Sings like a bird. Okay. There we have it. My brand new, not brand new, my new to me 2014 FG720SL Yamaha. Solid top, solid spruce top, NATO, back, sides, and neck. Rosewood, and ivory bracing, whatever you call that, and brand new strings. Woohoo! Well, thanks for watching. Please share, like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Tell me what I did right or wrong. I know I do things wrong. I'm not a luthier, just an old man with too much time on my hands. So thank you. And with that, we'll catch you next time. Bye now.